For those of you who didn't dial in last week, we ran a story about BFASA marching on SAPRA. Essentially, the gist of it was that they had said that there were too many barriers to entry for black farmers, particularly in South Africa, to access this cannabis licensing model. They brought up that there were issues with corruption. So last week we spoke about BFASA marching on SAPRA. So BFASA is the Black Farmers Association of South Africa, and they marched in the South African Health Practitioners Regulatory Authority.
Boom.
Yo!
Hey! One take.
Effectively, SAPRA, for those who don't know, are the ones who control the licenses in South Africa. Mostly SAPRA, a little bit of Department of Agriculture, but SAPRA is where everyone knocks on the door, medicinal.
They used to be called the Medicines Control Council.
Agriculture or health?
Health.
Well, that's also changed now because agriculture isn't deaf anymore. It's like Jordan knows the word. But things are changing, but SAPRA has been under a lot of fire, particularly from BFASA now, who claim that, one, there's corruption issues there, that effectively cannabis licenses, as we know it through them, have been captured, and they're saying that it's too much of a barrier to entry. It's not accessible for black farmers in South Africa. Plain and simple. That's it. So they marched on SAPRA last week, and we've got Dr. Lennox from BFASA to bring us a bit of news on what's going down, their thoughts on the situation, and why they marched on SAPRA.
And how it works.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Lennox. Thank you for joining us.
Evening, guys.
Could you please tell us a little bit about BFASA and why you marched on SAPRA?
I'm the national president of the Black Farmers Association of South Africa. I also chair a national chairperson of the United House of Monarchs. We have discovered that SAPRA is taking the indigenous plant, give it to body and people of their choice. And also, SAPRA is operating with the Act of 1965. That act is unconstitutional because South Africa changed a lot of acts in 1994. So we picked up that all licenses are given to one side, to the rich people. Obviously, in South Africa, rich people are white people. They give these licenses to them. Only one license that was given to a black, it's Thandeka Kunene. And also Thandeka Kunene is no longer sitting with that license. That license has been hijacked by Afriplex. So the reason for our march, we have asked SAPRA before this in our petition to revoke all licenses that they have given to these companies. And we had a meeting with the CEO. After speaking to the CEO said she will take the matter to the board. She came back telling us that as SAPRA, they don't look at the race. That is against the Constitution of South Africa, number one. Our Constitution has made amendments that black people to be included in the wealth of this country. And by implementing the BEE scorecard. So SAPRA, if SAPRA is going to say they don't look at that, it means SAPRA is non-compliant of our Constitution. So we asked Helen Rees, the professor, that do you own the letter that you sent to us that mentioned about a non-racial, that exclude the blacks? And she said, yes, I own it. And when she owned that letter, we said to her, then I think you are on the wrong side of our Constitution.
Indeed.
And we said to her, then also, we discovered that Helen Rees is not a South African.
No? But a foreign.
And then we said to her she needs to step down with immediate effect. She called a meeting. The meeting that we had with her, there was a National Prosecuting Authority. Rudy Dix is from the President's office. Netlec, Agriculture. Yeah, the NPA I've mentioned. The agriculture was also there. But now our question was this. Is the President's office involved in issuing these licenses? And all the stakeholders that are there, are they part when SAFRA is issuing the licenses? They all said, we are not part. And then I asked, what do you want in this meeting? Or what do you want to achieve? You know, that was another element of corruption. And after that, in that meeting, we said to her, we are going to ask her to give us the companies that she issued license to. She agreed, but up to date, we never received those companies. Only after what they did, they removed from their website all companies that they've issued license to. They also removed pending cases from the Special Investigating Unit. They removed those cases of maladministration and fraud. By the time they removed them, we have already retrieved everything that we wanted to make our case solid. So when we discovered that they are not giving us the information as agreed, we were left with no choice to call for a march to have SAFRA closed down and exposed for the fraud.
Call them out, indeed.
So on the 28th, the day before the march, she wanted a meeting with BFASA. She referred the matter to the health minister. So we met the gentleman that was chairing the meeting. It's Mr. Munyai. He is the chief whip of the health in the parliament. So, and some other stakeholders that were there. We put our case, and our case was simple. If you give one race everything, you don't give the other race, it means you are the racist. Because in South Africa, you need to balance the scale. You give that race, you give that, all races you need to give. Once you give one race, you are a racist in South Africa. So we said, we put that record straight that as she previously sent us a lawyer's letter telling us when we will need to give them an undertaking that on the day of the march, we are not going to use words like racist and that. We said to them, in South Africa, every South African citizen has got the freedom of speech. In South Africa, every South African has got the right to voice his or her views when he feels that it's time to let the other party know where he or she stands. And then we said, we are not going to look at that apartheid letter. If she's denying that she is not a racist, she's got all the right to take me as the president to court. But as things are standing, up to date, she never said a word to discredit what I said about her. You see? So, our march, we did hand over the petition, and the petition that we gave them is that Helen Rees needs to step down with immediate effect. We cannot be led by a racist that is going to bring divisions. There's already divisions in this. And on top of this, this indigenous plant, the Daha plant, is coming from the monarchs in South Africa. They have been, that was their way of making income by planting it in the villagers. That is their source of income. She cannot come and take that source of income, exclude them, and then go and give it to the super rich.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that is when we said
Yes.
enough is enough. Revoke all licenses. Afriplex, the Z-Class, all of them, those licenses must be revoked because they were issued under an apartheid law.
Yeah.
So due to that, they need to be revoked. And also, money generated out of these licenses should go back and clear the records of those that were jailed for smoking and selling these cannabis. So we agreed that we are going to do that. In our march, we had all our affiliates, the Rastafarians, traditional healers, the monarchs, and some other stakeholders that were part of that march, have decided now on the 20th, on the 21st and the 22nd, we are going to have Imbizo, we are calling on all stakeholders to have a meeting. We are going to have a march to the parliament. We want, in that march, we will have more than 10,000 participants in that march. It's going to the parliament. We will stay there until the president tells us that he is charging Helen Rees, and all licenses are revoked. That will give the people.
How many licenses are there?
There's 283 permits that she issued, and 23 licenses that are being issued for cultivating and import and export.
That's astounding.
I think it's 23, but she said it's 73, but I doubt that it's 73. See? So I think, but irrespective of how many licenses are there, all of them must be recorded. Because there's not even a bill for her to be selling this cannabis. There's no bill. And she cannot change our constitution alone. So there are a lot of things that are taking place. And this march is going to go to the parliament. On the same day, we will be marching to the Premier of the Western Cape. Premier of the Western Cape does not give land to the black people. The land is available for Canadians. So we are going to march also to tell him to provide land or face a shutdown. Simple. That is what we are going to do as BFASA going forward.
And are there any departments in government who feel like they do want to work with BFASA? Are there any good guys?
There are people that want to work with BFASA, and people that want change. They do call us, set up meetings. They want to work. Like yesterday, we had a meeting with Agri SA.
Yes.
That meeting was fruitful. They want to work with BFASA and other black stakeholders. So there are people that want to work with BFASA. BFASA is open to business, but we are not going to be taken for a ride by fraudsters like Helen Rees. We will never allow that. You see, she must give back what is due to us, and that's it. And also, how are black people going to cough out 48 million to put a structure on a hectare? 48 million. And irrespective of you had 48 million, what guarantees are there that you will get a license? You see,
Exactly.
all that, it's a red tape that she's putting in to enrich those super rich that she's friends with.
It's incredibly exclusionary. It's for the rich and politically connected, and that's all.
You see, the fact that she used a 1965 Act, it's a clear indication that she had an agenda, and that agenda was to exclude black people from this cannabis bill. Also, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Tito Mbowe, also commented that this is a commercial capture. You see, because he can see that black people are excluded. That is why we want this woman to be charged. We want her to be charged criminal, and she must be declared a racist so that she does not have she's got nowhere to run. And she must be stripped everything. Because what she's doing, she's putting South Africa back to the apartheid.
They're colonizing cannabis.
It's not good.
And that's not what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be fields of green for all.
Do you
Yes.
think cannabis has been captured by SAPRA?
Yes, it is.
Well,
If you can see who's got it now, it tells you straight away it's the super rich. Pharmaceutical companies, all of them are rich,
exports.
and they still want to make more money. And on top of that, we've got traditional healers that are making traditional herbs with the cannabis. They are excluded. Rastafarians are excluded.
And arrested.
A lot of people are excluded.
Excluded and then also arrested.
Yes, that's what she does.
Yes.
You see, and also that is another thing that we want the president to instruct the SIU to arrest all of those that are selling this cannabis, whereas there is no bill. How do you sell cannabis whereas there's no bill?
Yeah, how can some people sell cannabis and not get arrested, and others trying to sell cannabis to put food on the table are getting arrested? It's not fair.
Yeah. And that is through this Helen Rees.
What
It's
the,
all her mission.
Helen Rees must fall.
She must.
She must.
Helen Rees must fall.
Are going to see this second march that is going to the parliament. We are not leaving then until the president or the minister announce that Helen Rees is no more, and the CEO also must follow. We need to get a new CEO.
maybe the problem is that SAPRA is the wrong organization for this. Maybe there's another department or other departments of government that should be dealing with cannabis. Do you think that maybe agriculture, justice, DTI, DECLA, that they should be more involved instead of SAPRA?
I think the Department of Science and Technology is the right department that was supposed to be dealing with this. Professor Machabisa is the one that was supposed to be handling this, because it's science and technology,
Yes.
not the shark that is taking everything to her friends.
It's true,
That
because
is why
medicine
we-
is only a small piece of that pie. The science and technology on the rest of the industrial uses way outweighs.
More education.
Almost
anyway.
encompasses all of it as
Yeah.
well.
Tell me, doctor, where can people find out more about BFASA?
On our website, it's BFASA. It's www.bfasa.co.za.
Excellent.
That is where we are.
Good.
And last week, SAPRA was in Cape Town to come and view the land that we have, the land that we want to put our cannabis fields. There is no structure on our land. And our proposal was this: you will give us a pre-license on that land, and then we can get investors on board. And the pre-license must be a bankable pre-license. If it's not a bankable one, forget about it. We are not going to stop too much. We will march, and this time around, the Western Cape will make sure there's no business, because we are going to deploy all our stakeholders and our members. They will come from Eastern Cape with buses to the Western Cape. We will make sure the Parliament take us serious, and she goes to jail. That is what we want. And all those that are sitting with these licenses must be revoked, and they must also be charged for fraud, because they don't have a right to sell whereas there is no bill. You see? So those are the things that we as BFASA we want to put straight. But also, we are not closing the door on those that are sitting with the licenses. If they want to come forward to BFASA, we are willing to hear what are they putting on the table. But the fact remains is that it needs to start with those that went to jail for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it must start with those that went to jail for it.
First.
You see?
Agreed now.
Yeah.
Immediately.
With
Yeah,
no
it
exception.
must start. Yeah, it must start with those that went to jail for it, not for those that were putting them in jail to be the first to benefit. It does not work like that.
Yeah.
Because if you were smoking dacha in those days, you were a criminal. No one wants to associate him or herself with you. You see? So why now? Why now those that were calling us criminals to have licenses? How does that work?
Yeah, no, it's all backwards at the moment. It's very backwards at the moment.
Dr. Lennox, thank you very much for
Yes.
joining us this
Wow.
evening. We're going to be sharing your story far and wide.
Yes,
are.
we are
Um,
definitely going.
All the best with SAPRA, but also I feel like SAPRA is in the past as well. We must leave them in the past. Like you say, it's time for the other departments to now also get involved.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to sell this thing. We must be allowed to grow it, sell it how we wish to, and not 48 million rand a hectare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone must be able to partake in this.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Cheers. Wow, that was amazing.
What he said at the end there was so poignant, and I can see Charles also, it's resonating here, is that, he's saying that the very people, I'm not saying these oaks were there paying the prison system, whatever,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is the people who had, not the most, but who were the least involved with cannabis, couldn't give a toss. And the people who literally rely on it, not who are going to, we're talking about people now,
Yeah.
who have plants in the ground like every year for a couple hundred years now, people who are relying on it. Why are they still going to jail just because they haven't got 48 million, 50 million, 5 million, whatever?
It's like those who need to be able to make money selling weed are not allowed to, but those who don't need to make any extra money at
100%,
all.
that's exactly it.
Or the ones
Exactly
just being handed more and more and more.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not
they've
fair.
got a very powerful leader.
Yeah.
He's got a very
Yeah.
strong voice, and I really resonate with what he says, and
Yes.
I support it. I don't believe that there should be any kind of separation. Just no one should be excluded from this, and the barrier to entry that they've put on farmers and people that want to get involved, where they require you to have a facility before they even give you a pre-inspection,
Make it super
is the
science.
most ridiculous thing for our country, which is Africa.
Make it
We're in
super
Africa.
science.
We need to include the farms, we need to include the minority in terms of where you live, not in the most expensive places and not with all the goodies and gadgets. The guy that has the farm out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
that's able to grow a crop,
The
bring it back to a
mountainside.
depot and make some money from it.
So,
Whatever level.
Whatever level,
Exactly.
because there's
That's fascinating.
welcome back.
Right. That was such a
We're
fascinating
back
chat
from
with
the
Dr. Lennox.
blackout.
yeah, third time's the charm, eh? So, guys, those of you who missed it, please, when you've got time, not now, a little later on, that was a really great interview with Dr. Lennox from BFASA, hey?
Please keep an eye out on their website and social media and do whatever you can. Look out for a call to action. Go march. Go join the things.
That's it. Don't be scared
Just
to go
because it's the
stand with a
Black
bunch.
Farmers Association
You're right.
doesn't mean that only black people have to support it.
Yeah, it's not separate. It's not,
Yeah.
one-dimensional, hey?
Yeah.
But it was crazy to hear the numbers of it that, in a country with with the past, the present, and the future such as ours, you know. I know I'm the least qualified person to speak about this kind of stuff, so I'm not going to go deep. But very clear, the demographics are all kinds of fucked up on those licenses / permits.
Yeah.
They do not seem to be even remotely equitable.
No.
Hopefully,
As somebody said on the Facebook,
Well, most
chat that
companies
he
are planning
believes
to
that
run
the
a 10-year
BFASA
loss.
10-year loss, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Well, hopefully
They're
you
going
can
to
catch
run
it
a
now.
company for 10 years in the
Hopefully,
red
if,
every
you
year,
know,
and then in 10 years' time, then they'll make their money.
hopefully, if
That's
they
right.
do this, what they're doing, and they catch it now, nip it in the bud now, and put it into it, that there will be equality in this industry from the beginning, and not allow this industry to be corrupted and captured as
You
we
know, we
don't
cannot-
want it to be. We don't want to be running around playing this game. We want it
cannot
to be a
allow
fair and
corruption in
equal fucking
cannabis.
game. We don't want to have to. Like Jill
Barrier
said,
must
don't
be
lie, so
quality
you don't have to
that
remember
you
your lie,
produce.
because it's going to be full of fucking lies if
Yeah.
it's going to be like this. It's going to be full of lies.
Yeah,
we
we
don't want that.
And we know that SAP is a square peg in a round hole situation
Yeah.
as well. The guy-